Hi guys, it's Megan here. It's been a couple of weeks since I've uploaded my last video. I have been doing some projects around the house. I've been working on a hall tree type closet in my front entry, and I've also been just kind of refreshing some spaces here in my home, like this area right here, just taking down some old blinds and doing some touch up with old nail holes and painting up some stuff that was just never freshened up when I bought the home. So whoever the previous homeowner was, they just put these blinds up over the old paint color that was here prior to me buying the home. So I've just been doing that here over the last couple of weeks, and I am now starting on my living room refresh. I did put a pause to the hall tree that I've been working on, and I will be finishing up that here soon. I just really wanted to get some indoor stuff done as I transition from fall to kind of winter. It has been getting kind of cold out, and I've been really wanting to get this living room. It's actually an add-on in my home, and this wall was painted brown when I bought the house, and so the previous owner had painted it brown, and I don't know when they did it. It didn't seem fresh to me when I bought the house. So I've been living with this for 3 years now, and I was just super tired of just this color, and I really just wanted to freshen up this space. And so I went to my local Under the Sink. It's a place where you can not buy, it's a place that you can get old paint, old products that you can find under your sink, like chemicals and things like that, for nothing. You can shop their store, and you can get paint and cleaning products and things like that for absolutely zero cost. So I tend to go here just kind of to look every once in a while for some paint colors. There is certain times of the year where it seems like people just gravitate towards cleaning out their homes, and so sometimes there is more stock than others. So I did find a few paints of just neutral colors. I tend to gravitate towards those for little DIY projects, but since this was just a gallon of paint that I was working with, I felt like just using this in the space was going to work well. I would love to be able to have like the paint choice that I want or what have you, but my mind kind of gears towards just utilizing what is already there. And so Under the Sink, they give you basically free paint that maybe somebody else had used, but they didn't like the color for themselves or for their home. And so why not use the paint that is already there to use for absolutely zero cost? And so my thought process is saving stuff from going to waste, saving stuff from going to the landfill, saving stuff that just can easily be repurposed. And so I completely refreshed this entire space with zero cost in paint. I did have to go and buy some new paint rollers as my paint gun has completely exhausted. I bought my paint gun 3 years ago when I bought the house, and I completely utilized it for a lot of the spaces in my basement, so it really did come in handy at the time. And then it just kind of went sour and so I ended up just throwing it out. And so I did have to buy that. I already had paint rollers. Like I just needed to buy like the fillers or the, I don't know what they're called. But I just had to repurchase those. I already had a paintbrush. So, you know, I already had all of those things on hand. So I think the paint brushes, like to the roller, those refillers only cost me like $6 or $7. I bought like a texture roller so that it helps with textures that you're painting, like the wall texture. It just helps roll on better. And then like for flat surfaces, you can buy like a flat roller, if that makes sense. But I got an idea for this area right here. It's like a little add-on closet type area where I store all of my kids' toys. And I found this little Pinterest where it had like a little kind of nook next to the fireplace, which is like mine. And I felt like painting the door black would kind of give a little pop to the space. So I actually had a black on hand. It was a Sherwin-Williams black paint. It was an exterior paint. It looks like somebody maybe had used it for maybe painting their windows. And so I did add some like cornstarch and a little bit of water to the paint. So it did kind of start out a little thick. So my very first coat was a little bit thicker than I would have liked. And I did hand brush this entire space because it was really a very small space, and so I felt like hand painting it would be completely just fine. Of course, if it was a bigger space like my entire living space, that would be a little different, but this was just a complete small area that I felt like was easy to work with a paintbrush, rather than getting a paintbrush and a roller and all of that stuff. That just kind of seemed like a little too much for me. And so I went ahead and just hand painted this and gave it 2 coats of paint. And I really was happy with it. I did give the second coat, I did water down the paint a little bit, and so that second coat was a little bit easier to work with. It was a textured space, and so I don't know what the previous owners used, but I think that they used some sort of a siding, and that's completely fine because it's just like texture in the space to me. And so I'm just working with what I have and just bringing life to the space of what already existed. And so that kind of really helps bring that cost down of not like reinventing the wheel, but just freshening the space up with a little bit of paint. And so after 2 coats of paint, here is what it looks like. And I think it just brings some really great life and texture to the space. And I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm gonna get a little handle for it, but I did find this clock for $19.99 at the thrift store. And then I did find some chairs like this. They're very vintage chairs a while ago. I had no idea what to do with it other than that I just wanted to use it in my son's space and just make a little play area with it. But they were broken chairs, and so I had some inspiration from Pinterest again, which I showed you here, and I decided to go ahead and fix up the chairs a little bit. They just needed a little bit of glue. And so what I ended up having to do was actually fix the chair, and so I glued it and fastened it, and then what I ended up having to do is reattach the other side of the bracket which held the chair legs together, and I ended up having to take the screws out for that specific side of the chair, because these chairs aren't foldable chairs, which I had thought they would be when I put them together, but found out they weren't. So I went ahead and fixed the chairs and went ahead and just fastened that bracket up against the broken part because I was wood gluing it, so I didn't want to be like messing with the screws after I wood glued basically the bracket and the screw and the wood all together. And so you know, I'm not a professional here, but I thought this would work well, and so I went ahead and did that. One thing I do like to do is repurpose old hooks, those fancy little long hangers, like coat hangers that you can use. I take usually the old piece and just use the brackets or the hooks like you see here. And so I had 4 hooks essentially for $1.99. That's just a great way to take a piece that you might not like, but you might like some other pieces on it that you can use to save or repurpose and things like that. So I took those chairs and the hooks and I hung these up on the wall, taking that Pinterest interest and bringing it to life. And then I did pick up on Facebook Marketplace a free antique vintage crib that only had the 2 end pieces left on it. And so I went ahead and took this lovely vintage piece and made it into artwork essentially. And I didn't really do anything with it other than taking the pieces that were already on the crib and making it my own. And so I have a ship here that I got from my father, and that was inherited to me. And so I took essentially the I don't know if these were like hooks that brought the sides together, but they were on the back of the crib or the inside of the crib, which would have put the legs together. And then I'm going to use that as the bracket to hold up this ship and the back of the crib and make a kind of like wall art piece with this ship. And so I'm just going to go ahead and screw these into the front facing or interior of the crib, I guess I should say. And I'm just kind of winging it, kind of like I always do. I don't make really very specific I don't know, like measurements and things like that. So I took like an old screw and just kind of like measured it from the end of the outside of the frame of the crib, and I just went with it and just screwed it all in. But essentially these are going to be my brackets to hold the screws or the nails that are going to go in the wall. And then I'm taking this ship, and for right now I'm going to be using what was holding the ship on this like flimsy piece of wood rod that was holding these 2 little pieces together. But I think I'm going to try to get something more sturdy, because you'll see kind of in the end what I'm talking about. But I went ahead and just kind of sanded these down to try to like match the material of the crib, but it wasn't really working in my favor, and my son was able to help me. I did end up taking some old sawdust and some wood glue and mixing that together to fill in the holes of this piece. I was kind of worried about taking this lovely piece and kind of making it my own, but at the end of the day, I don't see myself getting rid of this, and the base of this that was holding the ship up, when you place it on, you know, a cabinet or a shelf or something, it was super flimsy, and even like wood gluing it wasn't really doing its justice. It just wasn't like this like flawless piece that was like holding this ship up. And I do think like eventually I'll probably try to take the red on the ship and somehow get it black. And I don't want to just paint it with paint, because I want to be respectful of the piece and try to find something maybe like a there's like little model car paints and stuff like that that you can use. So I think I'm going to look into try to get something like that to try to incorporate some black instead of the red into this ship. But for now I'm just going to leave it as is. I am taking these little brackets that also came on the crib and just holding the pieces that was once already there holding the ship and just incorporating it into the crib, if that makes sense at all. I just wanted to utilize what I had on hand, because essentially none of this cost me absolutely anything to do. I already had screws on hand. I utilized the screws that were holding this thing in place. And then the brackets and stuff were just already there. So, but again, I think I'm going to try to get something more solid, but I did have another Pinterest interest that inspired me to do this. And so, you know, this is what came out of it for now. And I'm really enjoying it for now, but you can kind of see what I'm talking about, as it's going to be kind of like a temporary fix to getting this piece in place. And so essentially what I'm doing after I painted is getting all of this back up in place, all of my decorations. I picked up a few frames from the thrift store. I think I got about 10 of them for about $15 in total. So I'm just kind of working with that, and then working with other stuff that I've gotten at the Goodwill outlet, and other stuff that I've just had on hand as well, and just working with that for now. I do think that this is going to be a 2-part series because I do have to rip out my carpet and put in a new flooring, and I will get there eventually. You know, time is of the essence, and so trying to incorporate time and then money to do the projects is another thing too. And so I'm trying to bring everything very low cost, and trying to find things and be patient to find things at a very low cost, or next to nothing, or even nothing at all. So just putting my labor of love essentially is what I'm trying to get out of all of these projects that I'm doing in my home. And so I think eventually I would like to put all of these beams that I left white and somehow gel staining them. I have a bunch of gel stain on hand that I would love to try to utilize in like a creamy, more tan, kind of brownish colored paint. And essentially what I would want to do is paint everything, the beams and everything, like that browny taupey kind of paint, and then gel staining over that. I did that in my basement. I'll try to link that video below, but essentially it does work. There are other fancier ways to getting beams and woodwork back to its natural state, but this is all I have for right now. And I really do hope that you like this video, and I would love to do a part 2, potentially a part 3, depending on how I can get the videos uploaded and the timing of when I'm getting all of these things done. But I essentially for my part 2 or part 3 or both is getting these beams, and thinking about doing these beams in a gel stain, and then getting the floors redone, and then kind of throwing out there a whole living room reveal, because I did get some pieces in my living room for absolutely free as well, like a new couch and a TV stand as well. And so I would really like to kind of throw that out there and show that and kind of give the whole space, and let you all see what I have and what I work with, and like what I do with my spaces. And so I really do hope you guys like this video. If you are new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I do hope you consider subscribing, as I do think you'll like my channel. I do have a lot of DIYs and thrifting and things of like refurbishing and just restoring living and lifestyle on a sustainable kind of mind frame. And so if you're returning, thanks for coming back and supporting me. This is just my journey through life, and I'm just sharing it with you guys, and I hope you guys have a good one, and I will come up with another video here soon. I am trying to get this haul tree finished, so it will be coming out soon, but my next video will be a thrift haul of clothing that I have gotten, and then that next video that I'll be coming out with will be just a thrift haul of more accessories and things like that. So stick around, stay tuned, and see you all next time. Bye.